Hello everyone, I welcome you all again in another video podcast of Seedhi Baat. We have been talking about a lot of important issues in the last few episodes, and today also we are going to talk about a big concern. But to talk about this big concern, we have a very young activist with us today. She is Ridhima Pandey from Haridwar. She is one of the youngest climate activists of India. She has been a representative of India and she has filed a case against the countries who did not take climate change very seriously with Greta Thunberg and 14 other climate activists across globe in the UN. Isn't that amazing? And she'll be talking about her journey with us today. So let's directly dive into the video and ask her a few interesting questions. So first of all, Ridhima, how's your lockdown going on? How are you feeling? What's up with you?
Hi. So it's like my lockdown is going on pretty well, I would say, because there's been like live classes going on, and at the same time, it's like a lot of work coming from the school as well. And I'm also having like bit of webinars and online sessions and IG live. So it's been like I would say for me, it's a quite, kind of like quite busy lockdown, and it's going on pretty well because it's like me and my parents are staying at our homes, and it's like eventually only my mom goes out because my dad has a job. It's like since like the beginning, it's more kind of like work on laptop, so that's like pretty easy for my dad. But my mom is a government official, and she has to be. So basically, she works in police department, so she has a 24/7 job, and for that it's like so it's kind of I would say a little tough time with my mom, but other than it's like we all are like at our home, so it's going on quite well, I would say.
Oh, that's great. It's so good to know that your lockdown is going well because most of us are just crying that lockdown is boring us, but you have a lot of things to do, and that's really great. So, Ridhima, you being so young, you're just 12 years old. I have two questions now. I'll ask the first one first, which is how did you get interest in climate activism? You know, being a 12-year-old, how are you so sensitive towards environment? How do you have that level of intelligence and that level of connection for this topic? Because sometimes a person lives his whole life and he does not realize his responsibilities towards society and nature. But you are being very, very young. You have understood your responsibility and have done what was needful. And so how did you get it? I mean, is there some influence from family, from society? How did you get up grew up as a climate activist?
So it's like basically like since childhood, because my both parents have been working to protect the biodiversity. So since childhood, I have been seeing that environment is one of the most important thing in our life, and we have to protect it. And it's not a kind of like subject which we should take lightly. It has a very important role in our life. So since childhood, I've been like seeing that, I've been listening that, and at the same time, it's like most of my favorite tourist places, that I would say, like the places which I used to visit the most were like maybe like rescue centers, or like reserve forest areas,
Oh, wow.
or maybe my mom's office, or like maybe going on picnics with my friends. So it was like more probably because it's like my parents has a job where they have to be like like where they like all the time they used to work with the environment and with wildlife. So I certainly it's like I have been like since childhood. What I have been doing is like if like my dad is going on a safari or something, like I used to accompany him. I used to accompany my mom as well. So like these are the kind of things which I've been doing since childhood, and I guess because of that, I kind of have a connection with the environment, like a strong connection, I would say. And it's like 2013, a devastating flash flood occurred, like in my state, Uttarakhand. That was the Kedarnath flash flood. So that was kind of very drastic and very devastating flash flood, and it kind of like affected the agricultural areas,
Mhm.
the villages, the people, and everyone living out there. And plus, like it also affected people like us because it was a huge loss for the whole state, and like many people and animals also died. So at that time, it's like most of the media channels were covering the story that the flash flood occurred in Kedarnath. So it's like my mom was watching TV, so I just sat beside her because it's like there's only one TV in our home, and like so since like those days, my mom used to watch TV the whole day, like the news coverage. So I didn't really have any other option in spite of just sitting beside her and see what she was doing. So I just sat beside her and I saw the news channel. So I doesn't really understood, or I would say doesn't really heard that what reporters were saying. But what I saw was like visuals where they were showing like broken homes, people crying, and they were like giving small bites that we lost everything what we had and we don't know what we are gonna do next. We lost our family members. We lost our whole kind of like the struggle what we did like our entire life just to have a like happy life and to make like a good home and to be like to live happily. Like this flood like washed away each and everything.
Mm.
So I saw that, and at the same time, like there was a visual where they were showing like River Ganga having like
Yeah.
broken material and cars and stuff like that. So I kind of like really got connected through it, and I really felt like I really doesn't want to like face this same thing in my life. So I really wanted to stop studying. So I just like eventually asked my father like why this flash flood occurred. So he told me that the flash flood really occurred because of the term global warming, and global warming is happening because of the emissions that we have been doing. So I was like, all right, but I really didn't know like what was global warming and how it's affecting us. So like I got an so it's like my mom really made me explain like what global warming is, and at that time I would say I was kind of confused because it's like I was kind of confused by like getting the term that like our emission is like changing the temperature and the whole scenario of like such a big earth. So I was kind of confused at how like we riding cars and factories can change the temperature of such a big earth. So I just wanted to know more and more. So it's like my eventually my mom started making me understand the thing because at that time I was 5 when this last flood occurred. So I really didn't know like how to like read and English or Hindi or how to understand the languages of articles.
Right.
So I really had enough time to like read the articles on my own. So it's like my mom helped me a lot. Like at that time, she used to read the articles and then she used to like explain me the things, and most of the time she used to convert that in kind of moral stories and stuff like that. So it really helped me a lot in terms of understanding the things. And eventually, like when I grew up, I started like I learned how to like read and read Hindi and English and how to understand the terms. So I started searching the things on my own. So it's like one day my dad was going to his lawyer's, like his friend who was in who is in like an environmental lawyer. So he was going to his office. So I just like I'm a kind of like person who enjoys like accompanying my dad when he travels. So I just like asked him like whether I can like accompany you to Delhi to your friend's office. So he was like, all right then, because I was I really doesn't remember, but I think I was having a holiday at that day.
Oh.
So like my dad took me to Delhi, and then he did his work, and after that we went to his office. And so eventually like my dad and his friend was having kind of conversation, and like in the mid there was a section, like there was this I would say small discussion come over about global warming and climate change. I was very interested like listening them and like knowing like what's happening. So it's like his friend was kind of like this is the first kind of child I have seen since childhood who has like this much kind of interest in terms of like environment and biodiversity. So it's like my dad in a kind of I don't know, like it was a fun way or kind of thing, but he just like kind of said in that she used to eat up our minds like all day. She used to like ask us questions. She used to read the things, and she want to do something. You can if you really want, you can guide her. So he was like, ask me what you want. So it's like in the beginning, I was kind of like shy with him because it's like even I've met him many times like when I was kid, but it's like I really felt like, because I really didn't talk to him a lot, so I kind of felt a little bit shy in the beginning. But eventually, like, when he started making me understand about the things, I started gaining interest, like more and more interest in terms. And he made me understand about climate change and about child rights as well, and how they have been violated.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot in that period, and I really wanted to do something, because when my parents told me that if global warming is not going to get stopped, then the future generation is going to face a lot difficulties. So at that time, I really wanted to do something, because I really doesn't wanted to have like oxygen cylinder on my face and like coming days and going to my school, so probably my office. So I really doesn't wanted these kind of things to really happen.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to change the whole scenario that was like really happening. So it's like I read in an article that being sustainable can really be a solution. So I started being sustainable. I stopped like having snacks, drinking Coca-Cola, and things like that. And I started making rough notebook out of my old notebook papers. And I like started doing things like what people usually do to be sustainable, like saving water, electricity, and like creating awareness among like our family members. So I started doing those things, but it's like time passed, but I really didn't see any kind of like change that really happened. So I just like asked my mom like whether the article was wrong or I did something wrong, because I really didn't see any change. The things are happening same. Like still people are facing flash floods and droughts and other like heat waves and things like that. So was there something that I did wrong, and or was the article was like having wrong content? So she was like, no, not like the article was not wrong, and nor you. It was just like this is the kind of thing that really takes like a period of time. And at the same time, it's like only few people being sustainable can't really change the whole scenario. So it has to be something more impactful and more kind of powerful that can make change. So I was like, yes, I want to do something that makes it change right now, and that really kind of changes whole scenario that's been like negligence by the older generation towards the environment should like get stopped. So I asked my father that what I can do really. So he just like advised me that I can do a petition that like as he do. So I was kind of like really kind of driven through that, like because it's like I saw my dad doing a lot of petitions for like mining projects against that, and even if like he like for poaching and many stuff like the thing which he feels like it's really been wrong and it's gonna affect our biodiversity or us.
Yes.
He just like take action or just like do the needful. And most of the time I have seen like things changing by his like kind of part that he like do as like filing PILs and petitions.
Yes.
So I really kind of thought that doing a PIL or petition is kind of really powerful thing. So I just like asked my dad if like I can do a PIL. Would it like is it possible first of all that can I file a petition? So he was like, of course it's like really possible, and if you are like really interested, and if you are really like if you really want to do something, I would help you. So after that, he just like discussed with his friend that so she's like she really wants to do a petition. So is it a like great way for her to like do what she wants, and like in terms like for whom like we can ask for help and stuff like that. So like he was like so his friend was kind of like person who's he has like a really great nature and he's very helpful. So what he did was like he said like I am an environmental lawyer and you're asking me like whom you can ask help. I can help you. So he was like, I can be like a lawyer and I can help you drafting the petition and guiding you towards like how you can really take your petition towards like the court. So it was a great thing for us specifically. And after that, my parents, my lawyers, like they started drafting the petition. So it probably like took us approximately like 1 year to draft the petition. And after that, we just like filed it to the National Green Tribunal against the government of India. But in the beginning, like when we were drafting the petition, we asked some of the other groups and other like schools groups and other children to be a part of that petition so that it can be more impactful. So in the beginning, we got a like great response. I would say that yes, they'd be a part of that petition and they'd be happy.
Mm.
But when we drafted the petition, they saw the draft. It was totally against the government because that is what my petition is about. Like because of inaction and negligence of the government, the whole scenario has been happening, and it really has to be changed. So they just like kind of like said like we are not really interested in like doing this petition anymore. So at that time it was kind of a tough time for us, I would say, because like we really like kind of planned each and everything, but like suddenly the whole thing kind of like flipped up. But as like so at that time we had a kind of moment like what we should do next. But I was really like I really want to do this, even if like it's gonna be alone, I can do it alone. I just want to do it. So at the same time, it's like the whole legal thing and all the perspective was like has to be done with by my dad, and he was also like agreed with me. So like after that, we filed it to the National Green Tribunal in 2017 when I was 9.
Wow.
But it kind of like get dismissed by the National Green Tribunal after 1.5 years on the grounds that the government was doing everything right. But now we have taken it to the Supreme Court, and I would say that was the first activity that I did, and from there my activism got started.
That's a great story. I mean, that's so wonderful to hear from you. I've got a lot of things to take back with me, and I think our viewers would also get a lot of things, because one is that people usually feel scared to stand against powerful people, even if they think they are right, because apparently this is a common thing in India, that we think we're not standing against someone. It's just that we're trying to remind them that you're going wrong somewhere, so you can probably correct yourself. Yeah. And that's important, because we are the people who chose our government, and we have all rights to inform them that something is going wrong at the ground level. If they are not coming to the ground level to see what's happening, at least we can go and forward them what's happening at the ground level. It's important. So be brave. One is be brave. And the people who backed off probably would be wondering today that if they should have not backed out, they would have been in a better condition right now. The second thing is that Ridhima, being just 12 years old, is so sensitive towards these things. So I always suggest people that this curiosity, this kid in you who is very curious to know about new things every day, who's curious to act, who's really energetic and optimistic, you should not let that kid die inside of you. Because as we grow up, we observe a lot of problems. Ridhima, personally, I would say I have grown up into a 21-year-old individual now, and I've observed so many issues in society. Maybe I cannot blame the government for everything, but I think I can take up the charge. If I have started observing the issues, you can just start observing and put it inside, absorb it, and probably find out some good solutions for it. And the third thing is that how she started living a sustainable lifestyle. It's commendable. I think this is something which we all should right now adopt from her, that she immediately stopped taking snacks and beverages because they were bottled, and that was not good for our environment. Again, she stopped using notebooks which had non-biodegradable covers and whatever. I mean, these little practices, Ridhima, you must have felt at that point of time that my practices are not adding to anything, but I think at an individual level, to be so sensitive towards an issue like environment is a commendable thing. And if you've done that, please continue doing that, because that's going to contribute someday or the other. But of course, if only she does it, it's not going to happen. All of us have to do this, and we need to learn from her. They say that there is no age for learning, and there's no age for teaching also. Who knew that from a 12-year-old child we can learn so much about how we can make our lives better and probably live more sustainably. So, great, Ridhima. Okay, my next curiosity question is a curiosity question that everyone would be having, because half of the world right now is wondering, how do you manage your studies and your activism, because you travel a lot, just like you said, and I'm pretty sure that you're very active on social media platforms. You're giving talks and lectures everywhere. You're also a TEDx speaker. So I think you have a very hectic schedule all through the year, and people here are struggling with just studying and attending online classes, and you are doing so much in life. So how do you strike that balance? Also, let me tell you, my viewers, when I interacted with her at the very first time, I observed that despite being a person who's famous, who's popular, who has the fame, who has the name, she lives in a very, very domestic and normal lifestyle, just like us. So she's 12 years old and she does not have her own phone. You have to contact her family, and via that, you'll be contacting her. And that's something I felt really good about, because her parents are very particular about the fact that despite the fact she's famous, they don't want to disrupt her private life, and they want her to grow up as a normal individual so that she can relate with all these things constantly. Because fame usually takes you to some other level, and then you stop connecting to issues which you have connected to and become famous, right? So even after that, how
Mm.
are you managing your studies and this activism, and how's your family feeling about it?
It's like, first of all, it's like since the beginning, I would say like my family supported me the best, because if like the day when I asked them the question that why this class should basically occurred, if they really doesn't really wanted me to know the reality, they would have said that it's a natural thing and we can't really do like to stop it. We can't really we can do nothing to like stop these kind of activities. But they like told me which was truth, and that was like. I would say, like the whole credit to my activism really goes to them, because if they wouldn't like have told me that this is basically having like happening because of global warming, and it's really like everyone's duty to like do something, because it's like it's my life, and it's gonna be my future, then
Yeah.
something has to be done. And it's not no one is really doing their part. I'm the one, and I'll do my part. So they really played a very important role in my activism. And at the same time, I would say it's kind of hectic. I would say, not like really, but it's kind of a little bit hectic in terms of like basically like balancing both my studies and my activism, because it's like right now, like what I am doing is in like I am like interacting with school and college students in terms to like make them aware about their rights, about how global warming and climate change is going to affect them in future and how it's affecting them right now. So I just really wanted them to be aware about their rights and how they can protect it, and what's really been happening on ground. So for that, I really chose like to be offline and to go to them personally and make them understand. Because if
Wow.
like if certainly I make a video and say like this is what's happening and you have to do this, it's not really gonna make as big like impact as I go to them personally. I talk to them and I answer their questions. So I chose like to go to their schools and interact with them. So it's also gonna give me an experience that like how they all feel about how
Yeah.
like what are their perspective in terms of me being an activist, and what I
Yeah.
can do. Like I because it's like I learn a lot from them as well.
Yeah.
So it's been like a great experience, and at the same time, it's like because of like because I do go to like schools in different states in India. So it's like for that I have to skip my schools, I have to skip my classes,
Yeah.
and so it's like I have like last year I have like once it happened like I skipped almost a month of my like continuously almost a month of my like school.
Cool.
So it was kind of time when I got alarm from my teachers that it's like you have been taken enough leave, and now like we can't really take it anymore,
Yeah.
because yeah, like you have been like not taking the classes regularly. It's gonna impact your study. It's gonna impact your marks and everything.
Mm.
You should be regular. So it was kind of like hectic, because I was getting like continuous alarms from my teachers that don't take so much leave, and studies are more important. Like don't be so much like into activism. You should be
Mm.
like studying right now, and you can do like your activism afterwards. So it's like most of the people doesn't really like understand what I'm doing and like the
I
real
understand.
reason behind
Yeah.
my activism.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like if you like if like you imagine like you like people who are watching, if you like get like 1 month of your studies, 1 month of like almost 1 month of your school, then you're gonna if you are in eighth standard and you miss like almost a month, and you know like how much burden then afterwards you're gonna get like in terms of like completing your work and
Mm.
understanding the things, especially like maths and science, because it's kind of subject which I really feel it's kind of hard. I don't know about others, but it's like kind of hard for me. And so it was like really tough to like understand each and every
Mm.
chapter, because it's like my teacher can't really start from the very beginning for me.
Mm. True.
So
Yeah.
she has to continue like where she is. and at the same time it's very like hectic for like my tuition teacher or my parents as well to like explain me a bulk of work, and at the same time it's also like very hectic for me to understand all
Understand,
the
yeah.
things at the same time. Yeah, so it was kind of very kind of hectic, and what I really used to do is like my mom really helped me a lot because it's like during my exams sorry, so during my exams and like when like my notebook correction was going on, my mom used to help me a lot. She used to help me like in completing my work, and most of the time I used to take printouts of the work, but it's like eventually my teachers are saying like you can't really take out printouts because it's like then we can't really provide you like full marks in your notebook assessment, because that's not gonna be fair with other students who like did their work sincerely. So I was like, all right, then I'm gonna like do my work on my own, like on notebooks. So I asked them a little bit of like a time, and after that I used to like do my work. I used to complete that overnights. I used to like woke up overnights and I used to like complete my work. And at the same time, it's like during my final exams, I just like since like so in the morning I used to study, and then I used to like take small breaks, and I even used to like study in the night as well, like in terms, because I really didn't like study it like before, and I really because like 100% syllabus and everything, and then you have to like learn, you have to learn, like you also have to learn question answers, you have to understand the data and like formulas and everything. So it's very hectic. So like I used to like woke up till night, like in terms like reading and learning the chapters and completing my work. It's kind of like a really difficult thing to balance. But now I would say I kind of find I doesn't really found it very difficult, because I guess I have become used to it, because it's like now it's my kind of daily routine to be like up all the nights and like completing my work and studying. So
Yeah, I would say, Ridhima, two things. One is that digital media, on one hand, if it's a boon, you can connect with a lot of people. Like in the lockdown, digital media is definitely a boon. People like you can connect to the whole world all at once. We are able to introduce you to so many other Indians and to so many other youth leaders or young children across globe, just because there is social media. But it's very important that we connect with people one on one. Just like she said, groundwork is necessary. If you don't work on ground, then probably just making videos would not help. That's true. The second thing, don't worry, Ridhima. I'm an engineering graduate now. I'm almost a graduate, and I would say that sine theta, cos theta is not going to help any of us anywhere in life. I've always hated maths for some reason. I've just given exams somehow by studying it day and night, and just to give my exams, to be honest. But you know what? I'll tell you one thing. This doesn't mean that I'm trying to defame education. You need to educate yourself, but this experience that you gain along with your education, by trying to understand the issues of social importance, by connecting with issues, and probably by taking action for these issues, this is what is going to help you in the long term. You all would agree with me that whatever formulas we learn in class 8 or class 10 and class 12, these three are the little milestones in school where we are pushed that, okay, class 8 is very important, then class 10, this is the last, then class 12, this is the last, and then again, college, may you need to get good marks, need to get a good placement. There's always a pressure on people, right? But I think from my class 8, 10, and 12, all I remember right now is my CGPA, which has to be mentioned everywhere, of course. The second thing that I remember is all the memories I made and all the things I learned. How I learned to be a better social individual, how I learned to be a better asset for my society and for my nature. So definitely, whatever she's doing, it's hats off to you that you're managing both the things all by yourself. You're trying to manage your schedule. But I would say, Ridhima, the thing that you're doing in terms of activism, I think that is something more important, and that's gonna value more to the planet also. You're giving back just from such a small age. Usually people, when they grow up into 40, 50, 60 years individuals, then they think that now it's time that I give back to my society. And honestly, we just cannot do so much because we don't know. Life is unpredictable. I might not be there tomorrow. So whatever moment you have, just try to just divide that time all for your family, for yourself, for your profession, and for the society as well, in some or the other way. You're doing a great job, and children, all of us, and youth who think that managing these two tasks is also a big deal, we need to learn from her, definitely. and you're doing a great job. That's amazing. Okay, and to all the people who don't understand your work and the teachers who think that you should probably stop your activism right now, I think you should probably motivate her because she's an inspiration for so many, and she's just not doing something just to show, and she's actually trying to make an impact, and that's really rare. In this age group specifically, it's really rare. So hats off to you. Educate yourself, but also try to educate yourself so that you can be better human beings. More than professionals, you can be better human beings. Okay, Ridhima. Now, I would like to know from you, before knowing from you, that what at an individual level a person can do, because just like you were saying, usually when someone thinks, suppose I think that I want to help my environment, I want to do something about climate change, it's possible that I might just turn on to some NGO or some organization, and there we could not, make a lot of changes. We just talk in, and it's just a collaboration, but we're not able to do something. So what's your suggestion for those who want to practice climate change activism, or they want to practice saving their environment at a very personal level? What all can we do as an individual is one, and second, before this, please do address that what actually climate change is, because there is a lot of paparazzi about this issue, and people just take it in different ways. There are 100 definitions to define it, and then there are 100 ways to say that this is right and this is wrong. So you being a climate activist, I think you'll be able to explain it better in simplest terms as to what climate change basically is, and how a little effort from our side and changing our habits can actually help us.
Mm-hmm. So it's like basically, it's not really important every time to be part of a NGO or to be part of group, because that what like I don't even do. It's like what I used to do is like I used to do all my activism personally. I don't really have any kind of person helping me, like kind of in terms of like managing my social media or anything. I just like do each and everything on my own with like directions of my parents, and that's what like each and everyone I would say, as like for those who are like of my age or maybe like older than me can do. And it's not really important every time to be like most probably what people wants to do is like what they think so like being an activism is what like you are getting media attention. You have to go to like abroad like at least four like 5 times in a year, or you have to be like very famous. You have to like have thousands and millions of like followers or subscribers on social media. But that's not what activism is. Activism is just like the thing what you like really feels really important, and it's like it really needs to be addressed.
Yes.
Like that's what you're working for. Not you're not really working for like people to follow you and to like basically to gain fame, because that's what like I have been seeing like most of the people, like even kids of my school, what they want is really like how I can go to you and how I can attend like meetings out of India, how I can be famous, how I can get more and more media attention.
Yeah.
I just want to say like to everyone, those who think like being an activism is just like getting media attention and more subscribers and traveling abroad. It's not that. It's upon like working with your like putting your heart and soul on what you are doing, like to really make an impact on like the work which you really wants to do. And in terms of like making people understand about climate change, like climate change is like you can really can understand it like through its name, climate change. So like the climate has been changing. Why it's been changing? Because of global warming. But how global warming is happening? Because of the emissions that we are doing. So what kind of emissions? Like, so if you are going to your office, like your parents are going to your office, that's like nearby. But what people used to prefer, it's like going by their personal vehicles and most probably by their cars.
Yes.
Because if you are going to your office by bus or rickshaw or cycle, then somewhere you will be feeling like you will be feel kind of like people will think that I don't really have money. That's why I'm traveling in public transport.
Right.
I don't really have access to like to buy public like my own transport. And most probably if you doesn't like once in a year, if you doesn't really travel once like in your vacations, if you doesn't really travel like out of like India, then you are poor, then you doesn't really have money then you're like kind of person who is like a kind of like in their homes, not really having money. That's why you're not
Mm.
going out.
Mm.
Like if you're kind of person who used to like wear sustainable clothes and who tries to be sustainable, then people would be like, you don't really have money to be fashionable, or you are like kind of person with like kind of old mentality. That's why you are kind of like this.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot that people have been facing. That's why they really doesn't want to do the thing.
Mm.
But it's like, even if like what I used to do is like when I used to make rough notebooks and I used to use them, like even like because I used to carry my rough notebooks like everywhere where I go. It's not just like I'm using it only at my home. I doesn't really feel ashamed like having like my own notebook of like having different pages and bind it at home and having like cover of like old calendars. It's kind of like in the beginning you can really be kind of like awkward using that, because it's like when in the beginning I started using those notebooks in my schools and taking it to my schools and out, people used to see me like, does you like, is that like you use like for a purpose, or you really doesn't have money to buy like a new notebook? So I was like, I do have money, but I don't doesn't really want to waste my money, my parents' money, and like it really takes a lot to make a paper, and we just like waste a lot of papers without even thinking. So in the beginning, you can feel kind of like awkward, but personally, if I would say, people do say a lot, people do comment a lot, but don't really like listen to them, because they are just like doing nothing. But what you are doing is really gonna make change. And as for people like who really wants to make a change, like individually, is like try taking small steps. So like in the beginning, I also, what I did was like, I first like I did like little bit of research, and after that, it's like, if like your parents are not really convinced, because like in my story, it was like my parents were really concerned, and they were like, they really helped me out to be an
Right.
activist.
Right.
But if like it can be opposite with like your story, your parents can be like totally against you, because that was like my friend basically faced in the beginning. But we convinced their parents, like she kind of did a research on like what's really happening, then she told her parents about it, and why she really feels so much like driven that she really have to take action.
Yeah.
And for me, well, like I personally want to tell you like why like I am doing activism, why everyone is like telling you to just like take action, to be active, to save the environment. It's just like environment doesn't need our help. We need environment. Environment doesn't need us.
Very
Because what really is gonna happen is like everything is gonna destroyed. We are gonna like, if like I don't really want this to happen, but it's just example. Just imagine if the things get worse and worse, and we are just gonna extend from this earth. Like the environment is not gonna face much difficulty. The environment is gonna heal up as it healed in the like during the lockdown period, which we all have seen. So the environment is gonna heal up on its own, but we really can't, and we really need environment. Environment doesn't need us. Like the trees doesn't really depend on us for like making their food and for being alive. We are the only one who are like living on this planet. That I am the one. I'm sitting right now, right here, because of the environment, because of the biodiversity.
Very true.
So we should respect it. At the same time, it's like if you doesn't really want to take action, so I wouldn't compel you to take action, because afterwards, like in coming decades, you are the one who is gonna feel that why I didn't took action, because you are the only one who are going to face the consequences.
Very
So
true.
it doesn't really think that what you are doing is going to benefit me or it's going to benefit someone else. What I am doing and what you are going to do is going to benefit yourself only, or your coming generation.
Very true.
So take this thing in mind, and at the same time, it's like starting from like small steps and gradually like increasing, getting to a bigger level really helps a lot. So first, really you can like convince your family members to help you out, and after that, you can do like small research about like what's really happening, the scenario, and what is the thing that like your local area is having a problem, and you can work on like you can start like working on local areas, maybe from your like even from your like colony, from your home. Like you can do waste segregation, you can stop using plastic bags, and after that you can like just like promote it towards your colony, towards your apartments, and after that towards your area, and gradually you can just like make a chain bigger and bigger and bigger, and it really helps a lot because it's like I also didn't like jumped into like sudden like I never really imagined, if I would say personally, that I would go to UN or I would be a part of like a complaint with the other 15, and I wouldn't even imagine that I can really do that petition as well. So it's just like do your hard work and you're really gonna get like best results, I would say.
Very true, very true. I think she has given some amazing suggestions, because at the end of the day, if you're working just to get fame, that's not going to help you. But they say charity starts from home, and just like she said, not all families are very supportive about the fact that you go out and now collect the waste and do all of that. But I think now that the coronavirus pandemic has come in the last few years, also we have been seeing the level of pollution rising up and things happening. Somehow we are able to, decrease the mortality rate in our country, but unfortunately the diseases that are spreading, the degradation that's happening is humongous. And now after the pandemic, we have learned that we need to switch back to organic ways, get back to yoga, maybe get back to organic food. We need to grow organic crops. Why did we ever switch to this modernization if we all had to get back together? Because now somehow we all have realized that those old ways of life were better, and they were better because they were good for both environment and for us. And definitely we are not doing some favor to the environment by being nice to it. It's all that we are seeking. We get our life, we get oxygen, we get food, all that we have right now. We are also, they say human beings are a combination of 5 elements, and those 5 elements are again natural. Okay, sunlight, water, soil, and all of that. So you're not doing any favor on somebody if you are protecting the environment, or you're doing your little bit to maybe separate the biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste at your home. That's going to help you out, and probably you can start sharing these ideas with others. So slowly, from your house to your society to your state to your country, things will change. And it's just that it's a matter of us taking an action, and youth, children who have the power, the ability to transform, definitely need to rise up and think where we are going, how we can get back on track. Okay, now that you were sharing the UN story, Ridhima, people usually call you, I've read somewhere they call you the Indian Greta Thunberg, but I would like to call you the Indian Ridhima Pandey, because you have made our country proud by being there. Just like I told you guys, she has signed this. She has filed this complaint against several countries who are not taking climate action seriously, with Greta Thunberg and 14 other kids. You guys have done a great job. Not going into details, because again we have time restrictions, and you've already discussed so many important and beautiful things with us. I would just like to ask you, like in brief, how was your experience meeting Greta, and how did you feel when you connected with all those 15 girls like you, 15 children like you, who were very sensitive towards environment, and how was your experience in the UN?
So it's like first of all, like meeting Greta and like meeting others was like one of my great experience, I would say, because that was the first time I would say I met like so many climate activists and like people working to protect the environment and biodiversity from different countries at the same platform, and at the same time being a part of that complaint. And as at the same time I basically like I attended my first climate strike in New York, and I saw like a lot of people like coming out on streets and shouting loud to protect their rights and to protect the mother earth and to protect themselves. So it was kind of like amazing experience that I had, and I would say personally I learned a lot from them, from the other 16, from Greta, and from like everyone whom I met over there, because like it really gave me a brief that not only just floods, not only just like droughts, but there's been like a lot that's been happening, and from to a modern from a modern civilization, even people living in islands, and like each and everyone, like indigenous people to us, like everyone is getting affected, and it's like people are really doing a lot.
Yes.
So it's not just like me, it's not just like Greta, it's like many kids who are doing. and at the same time knowing their stories and what's been like response that they are like getting from their government is also a great experience, and it's kind of thing to learn from,
Yeah.
I would say. And in short, it was kind of like great and one of the like most important and my, I would say, life changing event, I would say, that I had.
That's great. Usually when we connect with the like-minded circle, in this particular case, if you connect with your like-minded circle, then you get this vibe and you get this confidence to probably proceed ahead. Because sometimes, in your journey, you get setbacks, you're being judged, or you get these setbacks in the form of failures. But when you meet your community, the community that's all about your goal and your aim, it gives you another energy, and it's really great, to connect with such people. So yes, guys, don't see that she went to the UN. Just see that the journey behind it has been really hard. She's been working hard since she was 8 years old. And I think when we were 8 years old, I don't think a lot of kids are very sensitive towards issues like these. And it's not that you can just work for the climate. There are so many other concerns, especially in our country. Everything is a concern. I would say women's safety, poverty, inequality, food shortage, security, education, everything is a concern. And pick your domain, pick what just ignites you, gives you a kick, and just start working on it. Probably explore the rural India, because that's the real India. That's where life actually exists. And try and be a little more responsible citizens. From the very day you start recognizing people, you have your consciousness with you. Since that, from that day onwards, start your journey. We have got this lesson from Ridhima for sure. And those who are already late, I would say you're not late. Even if you start now, you can probably make a difference. She has given you tips as to how you can start from your home, and then probably amplify your movement towards a state and a country, and then the globe. Because I think, Ridhima, you will agree with me, not just India, all the countries, globe as a whole, all of us together are in this phase where we are not in a very good situation in terms of environment, in terms of livelihood and sustainability. Then what will we do with a lot of money and the highest economy if at the end of the day we don't have oxygen to breathe? Because unfortunately, you can't buy oxygen with your economy, right? Your GDP is not going to buy you some trees and some oxygen and some water. So yes, definitely show your concern towards this issue. I think we need more scientists and more researchers also in this field. I think Ritima also has the same, to get into science, or maybe into research, and she wants to be in the field of climate. That's what she told me in the first introduction that she had with me. I think we need more noble people coming up in this field and finding out ways and proposing new solutions for a sustainable society, right? So yes, it was wonderful talking to you, Ridhima. I think we have learned a lot from you, and all your experiences. I think your whole interview has been such a moral for all of us. But still, I would want to ask you if you have this message to give to the youth community, the student community, not just regarding climate, but in general also. Because I think she's a climate activist. At the same time, she's a very good human being, and she's a very good student as well. So whatever aspect you think is important, and you would like to give a message to the young community of our country and of the world, what would that message be?
I would say like follow your passion, of course, because it's like at the end of the day, like you can't be just like what your parents want you to be, or like what really like gives you fame. It can be just like anything, and I would say like whatever in whatever field you're working, it's like whether it's creating awareness about like having great education, or about like women's safety or sexual equality or even climate or environment, anything. It's like in whatever field you are working or whatever you want to do, just put your heart and soul and just be devoted towards it. And at the same time, like don't really think that fame is the most important thing to really work upon, because what most of the time people do think is like, if media is not really covering me, like if I'm not really having many kind of like followers on social media, it's like I'm not really getting many likes or many followers on like maybe on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform, then my activism or my work is not really making a change. It's not the deal. The deal is that you are putting your heart and soul, you are doing your best. And because what I have learned is like my mom always say like just do your best, and you will in return you will get the best. So it's like just like do your best, and at the same time it's like it's not just about like media covering you or followers. It's about like what you feel you are passionate about, and having just like having a kind of thing in your mind that you want to change this thing, you want to change
Yeah.
this thing from the world, you want to change the world. It's like in itself it's a very big deal.
Mhm.
And be passionate and follow your dreams, I would say.
Yeah, and I really think that we are always from childhood, since we are young, we always motivated to be better professionals, which is not wrong. Of course, every parent has this dream that my kid should excel professionally, and it's important also these days. You have to be independent. But I think since the children are born, at least we as youth can probably take this into our notice that when our kids are born, we should ensure that we have all the answers to their questions. For that, we need to be very aware about what's happening around us, and we ourselves should be responsible enough. Also, I think I don't know if you'll agree with me in this, Ridhima. I'm sorry, I'm extending it again after your message. But there's people just say that environmental studies and climate change should be introduced as a subject, in primary school education, so that kids are aware about it. But I think more than that, what's important is maybe a subject might not help you, because at the end of the day, there'll be half of the students will just be studying the subject to clear the examinations. What's important is to inculcate that value into them, that you just don't have to be good professionals. You can probably use your talents, your skills, and your professional line into being a better human being also, into helping society. Suppose I want to be a journalist, I can probably help um, the society by bringing out the problems deep inside the society, in which people are facing but are not coming into notice, by bringing them onto the media instead of discussing politics 24/7. So that's how I can use my profession into doing something good for the society. It necessarily does not have to be one single field. So that's how. And if suppose you have a house, you have some space to plant a tree, you can plant a tree. You don't need to probably do a huge deal out of it. If you do that, it's going to serve you the fruit and serve you the shadow, and probably going to help the environment a bit near you. That's how you can use your professional skills and your knowledge also into humanitarian aspects as well. What's your thought, by the way, about adding a subject of climate change or EVS in primary school? Will that really help?
It's like I would say it's like most of the time we do have EVS, but it's not just like EVS. It's like just having EVS or just having a subject doesn't really have like giving students a kind of real like teaching them real importance, and like telling them that yes, this is not just a subject. It's about your life, and it really plays a really very important role in terms of like you like
Hmm.
sitting here and listening your teacher, or like you like studying or living out. So it's more important just to like give students offline education as well, like taking them to, because it's like most probably what really happens like if like a school is getting a trip, what they used to do is like taking their students to theme parks, or maybe some of the times like maybe to movies or things like that, because that was like most of the schools do. Like most
Yeah.
of the time they also go to like place like natural like
Hmm.
place with a lot of biodiversity. But at that time what they used to do is like they used to go there, and like the teacher used to like brief them a little, and they used to like do their stuff. Like
Yeah.
even if we go to picnic, what we used to do is like we used to like go there, we used to sit in our groups, we used to have our food, and then we used to click some pictures
Yeah.
like for like our website and things. And then we used to come back, and like we never had our teacher explain that this is thing which really plays a very important role. And even if like I would say personally, if I am a child who has like firstly like if I am a child who doesn't really know what photosynthesis is, and I studied it like first time today in my class. So it's not gonna give me a brief that if you just like teach me like, oh, sunlight comes, this like a tree needs this,
Yeah.
and then it gets the food, and this is called photosynthesis. it's not really gonna give me kind of sense and the importance of photosynthesis. It's really gonna give me, it's like, oh, it's a kind of bulk kind of situation and I have to mug up it. This is what like usually happens. And it's I would say it's my personal experience, but in spite of like taking your class, your students like out and showing them that this is planned, this is how it happens, like showing them things physically can be a like great way in spite of just like teaching them like by books and reading out the things, I would say.
See, this is how a leader has to be. Even while going, she gave such a good suggestion. Of course, this is needed because just bookish language is not helping our kids. We have seen that our education system has been failing at a lot of levels. So it's important to educate children about these very sensitive issues, which we have been talking about in the last few podcasts as well. It's not just books that's going to help them, but it's real life, real first hand experience that's going to help them. If you know, teach them the processes of life, the processes of nature in a way that they are attracted towards it, and don't just study it like a subject, don't just study it like for writing pointers in the board examinations. It'll probably help them become a more responsible human being. So that social aspect has to be added, and we as youth, as mentors, as teachers, as parents have this responsibility of adding this social aspect in our kids, so that they are not just mugging up things, but they are at the end of the day trying to implement their learnings into the favor of society. They are proving themselves as good human beings, and they are being a reliable asset for the nature. So it was great talking to you, Ridhima. Thank you so much for connecting with us. You've taken time out of your busy schedule, and I really, really hope that this podcast will help a lot of children sort their mind and understand that, apart from normal education and a normal routine life, there is one more aspect that we need to gauge into. We need to gauge ourselves and see if we are sensitive about these things or not. If not, then you won't be called a human being if you don't have a humanitarian aspect. So yes, please try to be very, very sensitive towards your society, towards the people around you, towards environment around you, towards animals around you. There is a lot we are hearing these days on media. There is a lot of things happening. Brutally, the animals are being killed, the trees are being cut, buildings are being made. I don't know what we are going to do with those buildings if we don't have our rich biodiversity with us, who is a part of the life cycle and is adding to the ecological balance of the society, of the world, right? And Mother Earth needs us, not because we are doing a favor for it, but it needs us to be more sensitive, because she's giving us selflessly. She's been providing us with everything that we needed, and if we don't give back to her, then it'll be wrong on our part. This is a social and a moral responsibility. So let's get into it. Thank you so much, Ridhima, for connecting. It was great time talking to you. I hope everyone gets, everyone finds it interesting, and I really, really hope that we are able to make a big change. Yes. Till then, all of you take care, be happy, be positive, be very, very careful. Don't go out and try to avoid getting out and meeting people, at least till the coronavirus does not end. And after coronavirus, make sure that we don't land into such a situation again. Be sensitive and be better individuals. Stay tuned to us. Do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Do follow us on Instagram, and you can connect with Ridhima as well on her Instagram page. It is a very, very motivating page, by the way, I should tell you. Ridhima Pandey is her name. You can connect with her on Instagram, and you can talk to her more about climate change and how her journey has been. We'll try to have her again for another podcast. But till then, thank you, Ridhima. Thank you, all the viewers, for being with us. Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.